Oh dear. Welcome everybody today. We're super excited to do the session 2 of the Cycles workshop. I will just do little introductions for those that might be listening to this later. So I am Caitlin. I am a naturopath and meditation teacher, and I am one of the co-founders at Well Within, along with Paty and Julia. And we're a bilingual holistic wellness center online at the moment. And we do lots of different things and connect community together. So we're super excited for you all to be here. Paty, did you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. As Caitlin said, I'm a co-founder with Well Within. My name is Paty. I've been practicing Reiki since 2017 and enjoying this wonderful spiritual path that I'm on. Since May, I believe, that we started Well Within officially. It's been a worldwide of a ride, and I'm so happy to be on here and excited to see what's coming up next. So yes, welcome to our cycles workshop, and hopefully you can get some more information as to how to connect, whether seasonally, internally or externally, which has been really interesting. Yeah. So I was wondering if everybody could maybe introduce themselves, tell us where they're at, what's going on. Now I can't see you because I'm on my phone, but if Caitlin can take over with picking people in.
Yeah, so if you can, as we, community is a big thing for us. So we want to make sure everybody knows each other. So if you can just let us know your name, where you're at, and what's your favorite season, I think would be cool to know and why. Yeah. Bianca, do you want to go first?
Sure thing. Hello, everybody. I am Bianca. I am currently in Germany. I traveled here recently during this pandemic, was previously in Chile where I got to know all of you ladies. So I miss you, and I'm really glad to be connecting via Zoom for the first time since I've been here. My favorite season is definitely fall. I've been so much enjoying this time back in the Northern Hemisphere, enjoying now today's Halloween. So I get to experience Halloween in the fall for the first time in 3 years. And it's just been so exciting. I've been collecting leaves and whatnot. And I think I have answered the questions, correct?
Awesome. Yes. Thank you, Bianca, and welcome. It's so nice to see you. Paige.
Hey, I'm Paige. I am in Chile, in Santiago, and my favorite season is, it's so hard to say. I like summer a lot because I hate the cold, but I also want to say that I like winter and fall. Spring, I'm indifferent.
Okay, wonderful. So, everything but spring. Awesome. Julia.
Hi, I'm Julia. I'm in Santiago also. And my favorite season, I love all the seasons. I like that the seasons are different. And each season has something special to love about.
Wonderful. Thanks, Ju. And Kate.
Hello, I am Kate. I'm calling from Viña in Chile, and I would say it's between spring and fall for me, but I think spring wins out. I am a spring stan, and I just like the sense of renewal. I love flowers, so I'm pretty sure that's a big part of it. But fall makes me a little more nostalgic than spring, so I think since I prefer feeling like a new beginning rather than nostalgia, I think that's why spring wins out a little bit over fall.
Beautiful. Love it. My favorite summer. And my body shuts down in winter and my body loves the summer. I'm from the tropics in Australia, so, loves the heat. What about you, Paty? What's your favorite?
I would say spring and fall, which seems so short here in Chile. It just seems like we end winter and maybe we have a week of spring, and then we're into summer. The seasoning, it doesn't feel like that's long enough for me. Like I like a little bit of
Mm.
transaction. It just seems like it's just so fast.
So
Yeah,
fast.
I love when the spring, like everything is blooming and the flowers and everything's going green and just it's so pretty. And I love seeing the changes of the leaves in the fall. So those are my two.
Beautiful. Love it. So as you might have guessed, we're going to talk about the seasons today, and the energy of each of them and what sort of rituals we can do to really connect with the seasons, and different things we can do there. Then we're going to go through kind of womanhood and look at the archetypes of maiden, mother, and crone, and how to really connect to each of those within yourself. And then the ultimate cycle of life and death, and really talk about that and break some taboos around that as well. So before we get into it, why don't we do a little bit of a grounding just to kind of settle ourselves here. For those of you that have just woken up, maybe wake yourself up a little bit, and really sort of settle ourselves into this workshop and open it. So if you want to get a little bit comfortable while I pop on some music. Need to share it. There we go. Can you hear that? Awesome. All right, so just come to a comfortable position, move around a little bit. If you need a little bit of a stretch right now, just do so. Move that neck around, wiggle until you can sort of come into silence, into stillness, and then closing down your eyes. We'll start by taking 3 really deep breaths in and out. If you want to sigh on the exhale and just start to release any tension from this week that's gone by, this month, this year, just releasing it out with your exhale. Just becoming aware of any sounds around you, perhaps outside of the room and inside of the room. Just noticing and allowing them to pass by. Any smells around you. Noticing the temperature of the air on your skin. Really coming into this moment with all of your senses. And as thoughts arise and emotions arise, accepting them, just allowing them to pass by. As you feel the way that your clothes touch your skin. Feeling where your body's touching the chair or the ground. And as you continue to breathe, just pausing a little between the inhale and the exhale. And between the exhale and the inhale. Noticing the stillness that's there. And moving your awareness around your body. And feeling for any tension or any pain or anything that wants to release right now. And just breathe into it, and on the exhale, releasing it out. And sending yourself some gratitude for coming today, for taking this time to connect with yourself, to connect with the cycles, to connect with everybody else that's here today. As you continue to breathe, just starting to move your body slightly, maybe giving a little bit of a wiggle, and whatever needs to move, allowing it to move. And when you're ready to open your eyes, just thinking that you'll open your eyes with energy and attention and coming into this space for a wonderful workshop. All right. How are we feeling? Good. Awesome. All right, I'm going to hand over to Paty to talk about rituals.
Lovely, thank you. So last Saturday we talked a little bit of workshop. I'm just curious, just to see, has anybody put any rituals into place? Has anybody decided that maybe I should start, or just out of curiosity, just wanted to see if anybody wanted to share if they had put any of the rituals that we had talked about into place, or thought about it at least. And that's okay if not, if it's too woo-woo still to think about, or do you have any rituals in place now?
I could share something.
Bianca, yeah.
Unfortunately, I didn't go to the last part of this cycles, but I do have some rituals that I do like to try to implement that relate to specifically cycles. Like with new moons, I do my best to attend the Well Within New Moon meditation. An important way to set an intention for the moon cycle, and the full moon, I has dance parties, but if I can't make those, I'll try to do like a lovely ritual, with some salt for cleansing and stuff like that. So yeah, I try to incorporate rituals myself.
Perfect. Yeah. Excellent.
Julia had her hand up as well.
Excellent.
I have a bunch of rituals actually. I have daily rituals. I have moonly rituals. The daily rituals every day. The shower for me, it's a ritual when you clean yourself every day, because I feel like the cycle is not just the big cycle. You have the day cycle also for me. So how you start your day, it's how your day is gonna go, and before sleeping. So from when I always start with a cup of water and lemon, and I do a really witchy ritual about the pentagram in the cup. I do one of the four, one that we learned along like 1 season ago, 1 month ago, in one of the course that we were doing, the wealth, the pentagrams. Every morning I change the water of my altar every morning, and in the night a small ritual of thank you about the day and closing up the day. And in the middle of the day, I'm always like, I feel like it's, if you would think like in the middle of the day, I need always to stop and check where I am at. So I have all these daily rituals that if I miss, it's kind of like, it's not combined. It's kind of like the day is not how it should go.
Like there's something missing in your day, or you forgot something. Interesting. Well, I want everybody to start thinking about it. I mean, the simple fact, your birthday comes along, and it's this thing where we think about the year gone by. Somebody puts cake in front of you and candles with fire, and you blow them. This is a ritual.
You just went on mute, Paty.
You're
We can't
muted,
hear
Paty.
you. Okay. Now I think you're off. Try
Yeah.
again. There you are.
That we're good?
Mhm.
Okay.
Mercury.
So yeah. So I was talking to you guys, like even birthdays, those are rituals. Blowing up
You're mute again.
Mercury is like playing with me big time right now. That's what I like to say. Okay, so can you hear me now? We're good? Okay. Rituals reveal the invisible dimension of life, where you can connect to the deepest part of yourself and the energy some call the universe, the divine life force, God, or Mother Nature, the realm of all things spiritual, where we can find meaning of who we are and what we do and why we are here. Rituals open the door to that dimension. It's a visible act performed with invisible intention. I'll say that again, a visible act performed with visible intention. Whether you want to attract, release, acknowledge, maybe celebrate or mourn, joyful moments, support us through loss. Just think about everything that you do on a daily basis that you could change into a ritual. Many years ago, rituals were an integral part of society, a way to unite the community. As season changes, so does light and temperature, and our bodies recognize this. And if you pay attention, they tend to change as well. Our bodies remember and recognize the sun, the moon, winter, summer. When you practice rituals over time, you eventually feel the power of the magic inside you. And step by step, you embrace that power. That's when you realize that all your actions, even the smallest, all serve to create the mosaic that's your life. My view on this topic is holistic with seasonal cycles and a belief that there is energy behind them. In Eastern Asian philosophy, there's a belief that life is made of qi, life force, and that everything is made of yin, the feminine side, nourishing, cold and dark, and yang, masculine side, active, warm, and light. So through the seasons, I like to connect to see. Now, you could always Google this and check, but I'd like to feel, oh, this feels like yin or this feels like yang. And it's a magical way to see life. Rituals in the winter time, in the equinox, in the fall, winter solstice, these are some of the most celebrated in throughout many cultures all around the world. Fall marks the beginning of the yin cycle of the year. Less sunshine, the temperatures drop. This is nature's turn to take a rest. As you can see it with some animals, they slow down and hibernate. Our bodies also slow down too. And I'm sure many have noticed it. This could be a time for reflection, quiet activity, conserve your energy so you can rebuild and prepare for spring. It may help to practice quiet yin activities like restorative yoga, tai chi, meditating, walking, or journaling. And this winter, especially for us here in the Southern Hemisphere, we had a lot of time to really shut down. I mean, there was no other way about it. We had to COC. When it's winter, when we're going through this slowing down period, I would like you to think of developing appreciation for the dark, inviting you to see this time differently, not as gloomy and dark and blah. As fall and winter fall into play, it's understandably why some people see things more gloomy and the flowers are gone, the trees are bare, there's chill in the air and less sunshine. But open yourself to the idea that this is a time to reflect and grow. Consider the fact that while we are in the womb, we are in darkness, that a seed germinates in the darkness of the earth as its roots dig in and get nourished. We sleep in darkness so our bodies rest and heal. The dark is very powerful and healing place. It's a perfect time to plant the seed to manifest for spring. Society as a whole used to gather and plant harvest and then celebrate the bounty together. This was a great time to claim your accomplishments. This is a great time to write down and find synchronicities in the progress. A wonderful time to release disappointments and regrets that you've held space for those feelings, thank them, release, Otherwise, they weigh you down. As you approach the changing of seasons, make a list of all your accomplishments. Treat yourself to your favorite meal, and drink and celebrate your bounty. But also write down all your disappointments to burn the list. Seasons are like spokes on a wheel. There's no beginning or end. And when astrological symbols are added, we can make a story that correlates the change of seasons with the turning of the wheel. We can make spring the starting point because it's the resurrection of the earth, celebration and rebirth. Ostara, the goddess of spring, wakes up. She's a fertility goddess. Spring is at its most tenderness. We start seeing when the seasons change into spring, how everything is brighter. Everything, the smells, the aromas, the flowers. It's just a great time to be more alert, more awake. In spring, the sun is growing and regaining earth, and our cells know that spring has arrived. You feel with a little bit more energy, not so weighed down. And a nice ritual to usher in the renewing energy of the spring equinox is what most of us already do, spring cleaning. But to that spring cleaning, I want you to add a smudging ceremony. Think about that. Think about that spring is all about starting fresh, starting anew. In the act of making time to declutter your home will do wonders for balancing the energy in and around you. So start by doing some spring cleaning, making sure to bag up old clothes and other items that you don't need and want to donate to a charitable organization. Then once you've cleaned the house, decluttered, seal the clearing with a smudge in order to diffuse any stagnant or lingering energies from wintertime. So how do you clear it with the smudging? This ancient practice of smudging is simple yet effective way to clear the energy of any space and your sacred objects, such as crystals or amulets. It can be used to clear the body, the mind, and spirit of negativity by circling the sacred smoke around your body before you smudge your space. So you start with yourself, and then you go around your whole house. Now, I use Palo Santo. If you are going to use a smudging bundle, ideally make it yourself. There's some weird things that you could find. I mean, I'm sure you could buy them, but if you make them yourself, you have more meaning to it. Sage, rosemary, lavender, all wonderful things you could start planting and make them your own. But I enjoy Palo Santo because of the smell and the healing aspects of it, which is very beautiful. When smudging, light one end or your Palo Santo and you go around your whole house. Some people like to use a feather to air the corners. You go to each corner of the room and start from the last room of your home and work all your way up to the front of the door. Giving thanks for the energy that the house gives you, sending energy to the house, giving thank you to the house, and making sure you bless it in your own way. Now you could use your religious, affiliation if you have them in place. If not, thank the universe, thank Mother Nature, whatever you resonates with. It's your energy that gives it the power. It's you, yourself, your soul, your spirit. Go around your whole house, asking for protection, thanking for what it does, asking for peace and serenity and tranquility and abundance. It's a beautiful place to put in place every season, especially in spring. In summer, the summer solstice in 2020, we're going to be going into it on December 21st at 7:02 a.m. So 7 o'clock in the morning, December 21st. You will know that I will be doing a little summer ritual for myself to put into place. This is something that could be done either the night before or in the morning. I'm going to be doing it at 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm thinking about the last 6 months since the winter solstice, how we've energized our lives, how we've been nurtured, how we have nurtured, how we have been transformed. The summer is a time to reflect on personal growth. So think about it from here until December. Think about your personal growth, the meaning of the season of light and growth. This is a moment of our year when the light is most available to us, it's strongest. In terms of consciousness, it can be when we are the most present to ourselves and we know ourselves to be. The sun represents light of all life and consciousness. Seeds are planted in the earth as well as the seeds of in our souls. It's a time of renewal and abundance, a time of love and expansion. As the summer sun unfolds the leaves on the trees, so do our souls open up to receive the light of Source to illuminate that which is within us. The solstice signifies a time when the earth is at the fullness of her strength, fertility, abundance. So we too can celebrate our strength in joining together, pollinating our spiritual consciousness through sharing and offering gratitude for the abundance that we experience daily. To that, I'm going to be sending out a handout about the sun tea ritual that I will be doing on December 21st, which is a very beautiful moment to basically, you're going to be making some sun tea, placing it on the sun, let the sun soak in its rays into it, and then drinking it over the few days as you think about what you've written for your intention. So I'm going to hand it over to Caitlin as we're going to be going into a little.
Actually, go through autumn first, Patty. I'm going to
Did
do
we do
something.
autumn? Okay.
Go through autumn. Yeah.
Perfect. No problem. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm going to be doing anyways for summer, and I'll be giving out that handout for you guys later if you'd like to do it. And so the next one that we're going to be doing is autumn. When we think of autumn, we think that the trees are changing. There are beautiful colors everywhere. The tree doesn't overthink in shedding its leaves. It just knows. The season is changing, its leaves serve their purpose, they've reached their end, and the tree just gracefully lets them go. The tree knows it's time to rest. It knows it's time to turn inward and do the inside work of creating new life, new growth for spring. Fresh as soon as it hits spring, we get new leaves and its gorgeous flowers. But first, what does it have to do? It has to let go. And the same for us is true as well. In order to experience beautiful, vibrant, new growth in our own lives, we have to let go of things that we don't need anymore. Those things that no longer serve us, things we've outgrown, things that are holding us back. In order to transform and grow, we have to just let go. Paulo Coelho has this nice quote where it says, "It's always important to know when something has reached its end. Closing circles, shutting doors, finishing chapters. It doesn't matter what we call it." So that's something to think about in fall. I mean, it's important all the time, but in fall, what do you have to let go? This is in time to mentally clean house. The dark days ahead are for dreaming and manifesting and making plans for all the new growth and change we'll experience next year. Let's spend this first part of autumn getting rid of the mental clutter that will only get the way of what our work, our soul work. So observe this year's autumn equinox. You can do this anytime, and whenever you have something to let go, it's a nice little kind of getting back into yourself, looking within, and just analyzing the year, your life, the moment that you're going through, and just let go, which is basically letting the unconscious conscious, working with your shadow. What's it saying? What do you have to let go? What are you holding on to that no longer serves you? And that is autumn for you. At this time, the collective energy of countless generations support you in letting go of what no longer serves you and prepares you for the most abundant, joyful, and awakening moment of the season.
Beautiful. So what I wanted to do now was we'll do a little bit of, there's different ones for different seasons, but what I'm going to do is kind of amalgamate them a little bit and do a little ritual together. So does everybody have a candle? if you can grab that, I'll give you a minute, and you'll need your pen and paper as well.
Are we going to burn the paper?
We might be.
I need to open a window.
No, we're not. No, we won't do that yet. Don't worry about that yet. We're not gonna do that yet.
Didn't mean to be spoilies, but
No. Actually, I thought about it, and because I'm normally fire safety officer, we're not gonna burn it actually today. You can do that later in your own time. Julie, are you listening? Fire safety.
Julia's disappointed, I bet you.
You
Julie
can
was
burn it
waiting.
after the workshop. Okay. So we're gonna do a little meditation, and the first thing that we're gonna do is, and like a ritual, so the first thing we're gonna do is candle gazing to really invoke the feeling of summer and light and that kind of thing. And then we'll just move through the seasons, and then after that we're going to do some sort of writing down and letting go, and then we're actually going to keep that what we've written down for something that we're going to do at the end. Okay, so don't go burning it yet. We're going to reuse it later on. Okay, so if you want to light your candle, so can you hear the music? Yeah? Okay, cool. All right, so just take some deep breaths in and kind of center yourself, ground yourself, and close your eyes for that if you like. Just take some deep breaths and come into this moment. And then when you're ready, just start to gaze at your candle, gazing at the flame, noticing how it moves, noticing its color, noticing if you can feel its heat and the way it lights up everything around it. Just gazing at it for another minute or so. And when you're ready, just closing your eyes and imagining that candle and that heat in your solar plexus. So just below the ribs. This is your inner sun, your inner flame. And notice from this chakra the heat that's there. The life that it gives your body, the power. Just imagining that light filling up your body. Feel the heat of the life that it gives you. And then bringing to mind the last 6 months. The way that that life may have changed, that light may have changed over time. The different phases that you went through. All the change. Maybe your body changed. Maybe you moved house or country. You went through heat, you went through cold, you went through warmth. How beautiful each of those stages were. Because they brought you to now. They brought you to this moment. There were ups and there were downs. Just accepting all of that, bringing all of that into your heart and giving it all love. Knowing that no day can be the same. No season can be the same. And that's okay. That's life. And then when you're ready, I want you to open your eyes and on your notebook, write down the things that were disappointing in the last 6 months. Some of the low points. Things that you'd like to release. And then once you've done that, I want you to write a list of achievements and high points from the 6 months. Things to celebrate. just give you one more minute to finish that list. Okay, and we're gonna hold on to that list to do something with it later. But for now, just bow your head, thank yourself, and blow out your candle. So I also wanted to just talk to you about a few other ways that we can connect with the season sort of within our daily life. So I'm just going to share this here. One of those ways is through food and eating seasonally. So I don't know if anyone at the moment really does this because, you know, most things we can now get all year round. But basically, you know, foods normally come in different seasons of the year. And can you see that picture on the screen? Yeah. So this is basically, you know, what's available. This is looking at Chile. Sorry, Bianca. But I'm sure you can find one for Germany. And if we look at these foods, we can see that nature is always providing us with balance for the season and what we need within each of those seasons. So if you look, for example, at winter, you're looking at your oranges and your carrots and your, you know, your spinach and all of these things that are super high in vitamin C and that are really good for your body, for your immune system at this time, because that's what we need is winter. We need immune system boosting. Whereas if you look at summer, for example, there's more of your really juicy fruits. You know, you've got your watermelon, your stone fruits, all these kinds of things. And that's to really make sure you don't get dehydrated as well, because we need more of that in the summer. And so each of the seasons has its own fruits and vegetables that are available that really help to support us during that season. So, you know, if you're in Chile, like in Santiago, you can go to La Vega, you know, they pretty much just have things that are in season. And so it's a beautiful way to really just connect with what nature is giving you during that time to really support yourself. You can also, you know, choosing your clothing during the seasons. A lot of people in winter, you know, they just want to connect with like that darkness and wearing lots of really dark grays and blacks and white and that sort of thing. And that's really beautiful too. And with most things, you can either kind of go with the flow of the season or you can start to balance it out. So maybe the darkness is getting to you. So why not put on a really bright red shirt or something to kind of balance out the darkness with some light? You know, connecting to whatever you need in that moment to really balance yourself out. Maybe it is connecting and going with your blacks and your grays in winter and your bright colors in summer. One thing I also like to do is kind of pick one tree or one plant that maybe is outside your house or your apartment building and just really watch it over the year. Watch the way that its leaves turn and maybe fall. Watch the way that it grows in spring, you know, and even, you know, taking a photo like once a week or once a month or something and just noticing the way that it changes. And then also connecting that back to you and your own body and how it changed over the month or over the week, and see how you also change. Because I mean, one of the things we really want you to kind of get out of these these workshops is just accepting the fact that change is a part of every day and every year and every season. You know, as we spoke about in the last session, in society now, it's all about being productive every day, being kind of the same every day. We're not really allowed to change. So we want you to really just connect back into change and how things cycle through change. And so because it's totally natural, and accepting that part of yourself can really help with a lot of different things and accepting yourself. So yeah, any questions around the seasons, how to connect with them, rituals, anything like that at this stage? Or anything you wanted to comment on at all? No? Because we wanted to give you a little break right now. If you wanted to go and grab a drink of water, a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, go to the bathroom, whatever you need to do, we'll just give you 5 to 10 minutes. And when everyone's back, we will move into womanhood, which will be fun as well. Okay, so everyone's back. No, Julia. Okay. Here she is. So Patty, I will hand over to you for the next part.
Phases of life for women. I want to know if anybody's heard the term maiden, mother, and crone, just by hand. Basically, you can see it as a phase that we literally go through, but I also want you to think of it as energies, as an archetype that maybe, regardless of our age, we've already experienced. Not all maidens are young. Not all mothers have children. Not all crones are old. Think of these energies, the three faces of the goddess. I am the maiden, I am the mother, I am the crone. Generations of women all throughout the world. The maiden embodies a creative force like spring. Her purpose of the maiden is to attract. She gathers the stuff of life, for example, big dreams, bold ideas, the intense desires, but she's impatient. She's the maiden. She doesn't settle down long enough to make it happen. She's not supposed to. To her, the stories are about beginnings. She's in the crescent moon, usually young, but not always. Regardless of your age, have you been called upon her by a new project, a new idea, or a new relationship? Then you are the maiden. The mother. The mother embodies the creative act, sensual, sexual, fertile, and strong. She weaves the ideas, the dreams, desires, gives birth to something tangible. She feeds and she protects, not necessarily a child. It could be an idea, a project, a cause. She is fulfillment. We see her in the full moon, usually of childbearing years, regardless of your age. If you birthed any type of creation, given it time, TLC, been patient, nurtured, then you are the mother. The crone. The crone embodies creative transformation. She sees what was and is no longer. She recognizes that death is only a change, that there will be life in a new form, and she leads us going on that path and comforts those left behind. Her stories are about ending. We see her in the waning crescent moon, usually an old woman, but not always. Regardless of your age, if you sense that it's time to move on with a relationship, with a job, with a project, be bold, cut the cord, feel the grief, but walk away. Reflect what you are attracting, what you are nurturing, what you are releasing, and then say out loud, I am the maiden, I am the mother, I am the crone. This will help you to see your world from a different perspective. It's interesting to think about how maybe some of you, without knowing, have been the maiden, have been the mother, have been the crone. Thinking about what I've just said, do you think that you have been able to embody all three at some point in your lives, in some moment, in some letting go of either a relationship or a project or anything in your life where it was you've noticed and you said, okay, you gained that wisdom within you and you know it's time. then you've embodied the crone. It's just really beautiful and something to think about, that it's not just phases of life literally, but also energies that we all hold within. Caitlin?
Yeah, I was wondering if we could go around and see if you could let us know which archetype maybe that you associate with most, first of all. I don't know who would like to start. Julia?
I don't know. Depending on the area of my life, I think I associate with different ones. For example, at work, I think I passed from someone that is a maiden to a crone because I'm taking care of a lot of people and thinking like when it ends, when it starts, just being actually the mother, being the mother, not the crone, the mother, and taking care and guiding them. And I believe that in other areas of my life, I'm more like a crone, the maiden. The crone, I couldn't see in my life that frequently yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like it's a natural path. After you get to be the mother, you will get there. But for me, I think I got from the maiden to the mother already in a few parts of my life.
Beautiful. Thank you. Paige, any comments for yourself?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the thing about the impatience makes me like not connect that much with the maiden thing. I think the mother, yes, because that's like all I feel like I do.
Teaching, right? Yeah.
Not just because of my job, but I think that that's like where I put myself in all of my relationships. So not all of them, okay, not with my husband, but I feel like with most of them. But the crone one is something that I don't feel like I relate to that much because I think that's something that I'm battling with recently, like letting go of things and I don't know, saying goodbye to people and ending stories.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I really, really struggle with.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Thank you. Bianca?
Yeah, I think, despite I think the obvious me not having reached motherhood, I don't want to answer the obvious and say I feel like a maiden for that reason, but I think the motherhood stage is something that's so elusive. I think on my perspective, I feel maybe go from maiden to crone somehow, and I miss some moment of feeling like I, reached fulfillment or like brought into creation, an idea or I brought the idea to fruition. But I'm good at transforming into new beginnings and being in between those two stages. But I think that that's something I'm kind of looking at. And in this stage where I'm in Germany for the first time, starting a new life, I'm about to have my birthday. So there's also a new beginning of a year in there. I hope to bring myself to that mother stage, where I feel like I birthed metaphorically like a project or, this new stage, and be able to enjoy that stage for the first time.
Beautiful. Thank you. Kate?
Yes, so I think I, in the past few years, have moved from maiden to mother and, sometimes like vacillate between them. But I do think, especially with like recent projects like Yoga with Kate was a birthing of something. And yeah, just in my relationships as well, I don't feel like when I was younger, I definitely was more of the maiden. I'm can still be an impatient person. I'm learning patience, but I definitely wasn't a caretaker. I've never really been one. It's only kind of in this last 2 years or 1 year where I feel like I've been a caretaker in a relationship. I'm studying therapy and psychology to become a caretaker in my career. I work in yoga, which is a healing thing. So I really feel like in almost every aspect of my life, I kind of embody the mother right now, minus actually having children. And yeah, I also wanted to say I really don't relate to the crone either. So I feel you, Paige, on that. I'm really bad. I'm particularly bad at even like saying goodbye in conversations. I'm kind of like notorious for just kind of leaving a conversation halfway through when I'm ready to go, because I'm just very bad at goodbyes. So I like one of those goodbyes where you just leave a party and don't even say goodbye is kind of more my goodbye. So yeah, I definitely would say I almost had this aversiveness to kind of what the crone embodies. So I think that's really interesting too.
Yeah. So, you know, the crone also, if we think about it, it used to be a part of the community where there was this wise woman who was a healer that people would go to for advice, that, you know, this kind of matriarch that was there. And with society now where we're not allowed to age, you know, aging is really bad. You know, we can't have gray hair, we can't have wrinkles, we can't, you know, this whole image of a crone, and, you know, it was turned into like this hag and this old lady, and, you know, we put her in a home and we don't look at her anymore because we don't want to really connect with that. And I think that we've really become very disconnected from that beautiful kind of matriarch archetype, who is so wise and who just embodies this amazing energy. But is there someone, can anyone think of either someone in your life or someone like on TV or in a movie that really embodies that crone archetype? Anyone? Bianca, yeah.
To me, you just said something, you know, the matriarch and then turned hag.
Mm-hmm.
And I immediately thought of, you know, Mother Gothel, just because of how we've kind of just destroyed that idea. But the positive matriarch, I think, that really spoke to me was Grandmother Willow from Pocahontas.
Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Actually,
Julia,
you
have one?
explaining again. Actually, at work, I think I went to the crone one. I'm not the mother anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the one that they look for when they have big issues. I'm not the one that is taking care of them anymore. I'm kind of the one that, oh shit, everything went to hell. Let's call Julia, you know? So for advice. So I walk between two. Sometimes I need to be the mother that listen, that take care, but not that much anymore. Am I like more like the crone that goes like, you screwed up, you know, like that grandma that tells you that you screw up, but she tells stories of her past that she did the same. It's not the mother guiding them that much. So yeah.
Yeah. So there's a difference. I feel there's a difference with the crone in that, like Paty was saying about the kind of death and the letting go, is that she's seen it all. So nothing kind of surprise. Like with the mother, it's very much like it's gonna be okay. Like, you know, everything's fine. But with the crone, it's like, yeah, you screwed up, or yeah, this happened, or yeah, you know, and that's okay. Like accept that, like you said, like maybe telling stories from her past about how she did the same. And guess what? She's fine. She's here now, and that's okay. She's seen it all.
At work, at work, I'm the crone. I'm not the mother at all.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. So, how do you think, like, in your family or in society around you, how has the crone been honored? Have you ever seen her honored in any way, or has she been pushed to the side?
Moana. The story of Moana, where you have the grandma. It's not society, but I feel like a lot of movies that are coming now, like for kids, they are trying to bring it back of this ancestral culture. And I think we had a phase of the human being where we needed to be new, 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 new. And now even like the gray hair is back actually. You know, it's coming back. Being old is being cool actually. You see all these stars that like Sharon Stone, Demi Moore, they're not mothers anymore, you know? They are in that phase. They are older and they are cool. They are amazing. So I think the new mother, the new cool is being the crown, you know, where you lived everything and you know what to do and you don't give a fuck.
Yeah. I feel like Helen Mirren and like Judi Dench, like they're kind of these badass grandmothers, you know?
I love them. Yes, they are. Helen Mirren is just badass. Yes, I love her.
Right?
Yeah, that
And
would be my ideal crone vision.
right? Yeah. So I mean, like, yeah, Bianca. She just thought of one.
Sorry, I was gonna say Maggie Smith is like the perfect crone for me.
Right? And even
I
like
don't give
her
a
as
F.
like Professor McGonagall and, you know, in Harry Potter, like she's the old wise one that like, you know, she's strict, but she'll support you, she'll step up for you, and she will, you know, fight Professor Snape when she needs to, you know, like she will honor Dumbledore and take that castle, you know, like, yeah, there are some amazing ones out there when we look for them, they're there, and they're,
If
you
you
know,
compare with the planets, for example, the Jupiter is always the cool wise man, right? So the crown is the female of Jupiter.
yeah,
So she's the cool wise woman also. So
yeah, but you notice how like it's being more revered to be an older man, you know, this old fox, this old, you know, whatever, that it is to be this old woman, right? So we need to bring that back and celebrate, because, you know, we're all gonna get old, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I just wanted to exactly and invite the ladies here to think about the crone women in your family. Think about when was the last time you've honored them. You've asked them about life. You asked them about their experiences. Or is it the type of person in your life where you've just said, she's a crazy old woman, doesn't know what she's talking about, and just kind of she's the burden of the family. Maybe it's a time to start connecting more. She's going to be your ancestor if she's not already. And if she's passed, I do believe that you can still connect and still ask for her wisdom, still ask for her guidance. But I mean, if you have her in this realm of reality where she's here on earth and you haven't connected for a while, why not do so? Try and connect. What was her life like? What was the amount of experience in her blood, in those veins? You'd be amazed. And sometimes she starts shutting down because people no longer regard her. They put her aside and she starts shutting down literally. Connect. See what happens. See what you connect with. Maybe there's stuff there that you haven't realized that you have in common. But it's time, I believe, to resurrect the crone and make her the wise woman that she is. And exactly as Caitlin said, we're all going there. That's going to be us, you know, in a few years, and it's going to go by fast. So embrace it.
Exactly. Now, a lot of cultures and communities, especially, you know, kind of Wiccan ones and whatever, there is like a croning ceremony that they can do, which is really beautiful. And crone, part of that word comes from crown, so it's kind of like this crowning ceremony, where, you know, everybody goes around and they honor the crones in their community. And I read about some where like they have this big festival, and you know, the maidens get their flower crown and their mothers get this certain thing, and then the crones, the maidens look after the crones the whole day, So you get like your own little maiden who like looks after you. And then she crowns you at the ceremony and says, you know, beautiful things about you. So what I wanted to do today was to honor the crone in each of you and do this as kind of like a community thing. And so what I want to do is to go around and we're going to acknowledge each and every one of us as a crone. So I will go first and I will choose someone in the group, and I'll just choose Paty as the example and say these words to her, and then Paty will choose someone and then we'll go around. Okay? So, and I'm gonna just drop in the chat kind of like the wording, very simple. One sec to everyone. Okay. So, Paty, I bow before you and I acknowledge the crone in you. I thank you for the wisdom of your life experience. I thank you for who you are and what you bring to this community. And then you choose something nice to say. So Paty, I love the soothing way of your voice and the way that it grounds this community and holds us all. So thank you. And then just bow to her. And then Paty moves on.
That's lovely. Okay. I'm going to choose Paige. Paige, I bow before you and I honor the crone in you. I would like to thank you for your serenity, for your kindness, for your sweetness, for the light that you shine. It shines brightly and I see it, and I bow before you. Thank you.
Do I choose someone now? Okay, great. I'll choose Kate. I bow before you and I acknowledge the crone in you. I thank you for the wisdom of your life experience. I thank you for who you are and what you bring to this community. Thank you for your openness, for your willingness to connect with people, for your kind heart.
Thank you. I will pick Julia. It might take me a second because I'm going between chat and screen. So let me do the chat. Sorry, guys. So, Julia, I bow before you and I acknowledge the crone in you. I thank you for the wisdom of your life experience. I thank you for who you are and what you bring to this community. I'm switching back now. And I really appreciate your fire and your excitement for life. It's such a joy to watch and to be around you and to hear all of your ideas and everything that you share with the community, and that you're always willing to sort of put yourself out there. And I just always appreciate the energy you bring to the events that I see you at.
I choose Bianca. I bow before you and acknowledge the crone in you. I thank you the wisdom of your experience, your life experience. I thank you for who you are and what you bring to this community. I thank you for your willing to change life and start new beginnings, and the creativity that you share with all of us.
Thank you so much. So I choose Caitlin. All right, here, I gotta pull up the thing. I bow before you and I acknowledge the crone in you. I thank you for the wisdom of your life experience. I thank you for who you are and what you bring to this community. And you bring a lot. Thank you specifically for your presence. I feel that your presence is just so healing and caring, and I honor that so much. Thank you.
Thank you. I bow before the crones in each of you, and I hope that this is an energy that you come to acknowledge and appreciate within yourself. you know, it tends to be the one that we don't connect with most. So, you know, I invite you to do that and to recognize where you have wisdom in this life and where your experience is, and maybe how you can share that with your community as the crone. And with that, does anyone else have any comments around that at all before we move on to life and death?
Can I share something?
Yeah, please.
I think on a personal note, this is something that I haven't really reflected on ever. I acknowledge and I appreciate the maiden, mother, and crone, and I appreciate you guys bringing this to my attention. It's definitely something to work into shadow work, because I realized that it's possible that I have some mother issues which may interfere with my feeling like I reached that mother stage. So that's something to think about. And, you know, this idea of maturity and how much society puts on it, you know, and where, you know, we feel we kind of arrive in this cycle has a lot to do with not only other people's expectations, but how we internalize them. So this is such a wonderful exercise, something to continue to process. And I'm going to reach out to my grandma.
Beautiful. Thanks, Bianca. Yeah, I mean, each of them, I think sometimes we repress little parts of it depending on our life experience. So yeah, being aware of that and knowing which one that maybe, oh, I don't like that mother energy, or I don't like that maiden energy, or crone energy is always, it's always good to bring that to consciousness for sure. Yeah, thanks for sharing. Anybody else? Paige, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I as we've been talking about it, it makes me think that like probably the reason that I feel like I don't connect with the crone archetype is because I feel like I have been called in a way, or I'm currently being called because it keeps coming up as an area of wisdom, being like grief for me. And I'm like kind of uncomfortable with it. So I think that's why I avoid it.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, we often avoid those things that are uncomfortable. And, you know, speaking of grief, yeah, Paty, go.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that I'm in a stage of life where I literally been the maiden and I've been the mother. I've had 3 children that are grown now. And it's an interesting phase where I'm in my late 40s thinking about the next stage of life. And that there is like a mourning of what was, of letting go, of that you're no longer maybe needed as much. My 3 kids are, you know, in their 20s now and starting their lives. And it's like letting go, and I know it's time, and I feel the crone in me going, it's okay, like, time to let go. And it's this cool phase that I'm going into, and I'm trying to embrace it, and I most times I am, but it's hard. It's like we're human, and we, you know, letting go is hard, whether it's letting go of loved ones, saying goodbye. And I think that's why it's so hard to connect with the crone in you, because it's change, and most of us don't know what's coming up next, and it's scary, but it's necessary at the same time. And that's why it's good to look at this and not suppress it, and it's good to talk about it, or with a good friend over coffee, and, you know, I'm feeling this, I'm feeling that, and connect to the cycles that are going on in your life. Because if we just ignore it, we live on autopilot. It's not a good way to live your life. It's just, life is going to pass by like that, and all of a sudden you're going to be 60, 70 years old, and I'm going, oh, that was it? That was that? No, I mean, connect to yourself. If it's rituals that take place, fine. But if not, mindfulness is beautiful, just to connect to the here and now. And yeah, the crone, it's in us. And I'm like I said, going into this phase and thinking, I don't know what's coming next. I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about it. I mean, society tells us, aging, anti-aging stuff all around us, and embracing your gray hair is cool now, which is, it's, I think we're going into that as a society, where we're moving slowly and accepting and embracing back the wise woman that's in our lives, or that we will be one day. And as a crone, I was reading that it's not automatic. It's not a certain age where you say, okay, now I'm the crone. I mean, what age would that be? 60, 65, 70? I think you as a woman decide, say, okay, I've lived that part. I'm ready to let go, literally, and just embrace this next stage. I'm there. I'm on that process, and it's interesting and scary, but I do feel the wisdom in me coming out more and more each time, and embracing myself more and more each time. So I just wanted to share that with all of you. It's coming for all of you. I think I'm the oldest one here, but to
Patty,
feel the grief.
can I ask a question? Because you say
Yes,
that in your personal life, in your motherhood
yeah,
life, you're being the crone. But what would you say that you are in your professional life right now?
I am the crone. Like spiritually, I feel I am, I'm like
Yeah,
getting there. Like I've opened the door to the crone,
yeah,
and that's where I'm gaining all this wisdom, and I feel it. And sometimes it's overwhelming. It's very overwhelming, where it's like, okay, I'm just gonna shut the door for a little bit and open it later, because that was too much. But
yeah.
it's amazing. It's amazing feeling. It's an amazing feeling. Yes,
That's super cool. Thank you for sharing.
you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Patty. Yeah, I mean that age. I mean, as you said, there are kind of specific, like if you give birth to a child, you are literally a mother. And they do say with the crone, it's when you have like your last final period, and then you're in menopause, and that's it. And the maiden is when you have your first, your menarche and everything. But I don't think it has to be that way as well. I think, as I said, there, it's all of these energies are already within us, and when we need to tap into them, we do. Like Julia in her work right now, when she needs to, we have the mother in us, those that don't have children, we're mothering things all the time, whether that's other people or whether we're birthing new ideas, creations, all those kinds of things. So it's all available all the time. So it's just about thinking about when you need it and being able to tap into it when you do. Yeah. Bianca, yeah.
Can I add one more thing?
Yeah, of course.
I think another important part is being able to accept it, accept the stage, that we're in. And I think, Patty, I think that when you were sharing it, for me, it resonated a lot, because I think that I didn't really share so much personally, but I think that might be part of what's a barrier between my mother and me, is that I think that she wants to, like hold on to this mother stage. And in fact, we have good news in the family. It's still relatively a secret to be revealed later, but my sister's pregnant, and my mother and my parents are going to be grandparents now. So it's really a transition, and she just found out, and I think my mother just found out. So I think that's something that I think now I kind of just realize that she must be struggling to embrace, is this letting go of her children and moving into a new stage of life. She's been going through a hard time as a woman, and through like her 50s and 60s, and transitioning to crone stage. And so I think that must be something that is a struggle for her, that she doesn't know how to express her own worry. But I think that she's viewing it as like the end of her life. And she keeps saying, you know, like, before I'm gone. And it's instead of treating it as a change, as a transition to a new stage, I think she fears that it's over. And I think that that's something that I'll have to, you know, like maybe see if I can speak with her about and understand her better, you know, because I don't think that, you know, I don't think that she deserves to be sad. I think that she, you know, should be happy, and I want to do what I can to help her, you know, embrace where she's at, you know, and understand probably better now why she feels so reticent to let go of us in our 20s and 30s now. So thank you for sharing. It was really meaningful to me, and thank you.
Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you, Bianca. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, Bianca. Yeah, I feel like sometimes, you know, that crone stage, it's not honored, we don't want to get there. And correct me if I'm wrong, Paty, as well, is that when you're in that mother stage, you're needed. Like you're helping the children all the time, and you're feeling useful, and you're supporting them. And then when you move to that crone, it's like you're there as like for them to come to when they need to, but you're not as needed in a you know, such a physical sense, or such a like day-to-day kind of thing. And that's really hard to let go of if you're not feeling useful anymore.
Yeah, especially, I mean, you think it's been 20 years plus of nurturing, giving. Are you okay? What do you need? Okay, what's this? Okay, you know, just like focused on them, like making sure that they have everything they need, and enjoying it. Don't get me wrong, enjoying it, every bit of it. But then all of a sudden it's like, okay, what do I do now? Like, oh yes, there's me. Okay, gotta put myself first now. Okay, what do I do? Like, it's like getting to know you again, and getting yourself, like, figure out what your wants and needs are, and what's your purpose in life. Because I feel like it's not just motherhood for me. There's something else out there, and that's what the path I'm on. That's been wonderful, but sometimes overwhelming, and like, oh my God, what's this? Like, I didn't know this was inside me, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's something to embrace, but it's not always easy. Mm-hmm.
Sure, change isn't easy. And if you look as well with, you know, and this happens with men too, when they retire, a lot of people will actually die within sort of 1 to 2 years of retirement, because there's not a lot of purpose there, you know, and they start to get sick and they decline because they're not as active, and those kinds of things. So I'm always telling my mom, because she's about to retire, I'm like, what are you going to do after? Like, you need a plan. You need to know what you're doing. You need to have purpose. Like, you know, I'm in a whole different country. You can't like come over my house every day or anything. So like, yeah, it's a different stage. And as Paty said, it's then back about you. It's kind of like going back a little bit to the maiden of like, it's all about me. What do I want? What's this innocence? Where can I grow now? So yeah, it's super interesting. So thanks for sharing your personal experience, Paty. It's really valuable. Thank you. Yeah. And with that, I mean, we've been hinting at it this whole time, about this kind of ultimate cycle of life and death. And it's also this ultimate taboo. But it's kind of perfect that we're doing it today on Halloween. Where they say, you know, the veil is thinner, we have access to our ancestors, to those that have passed, to connect with them. So, you know, death is this natural part of our whole life cycle. But it's definitely a part that's ignored and repressed. We don't talk about it. We're always running away from it. You know, it's this awful thing. It's about letting go, which is very hard. There's grief that comes up, and, you know, it's one of these bad emotions. And I don't actually feel that any emotion is bad, but, you know, grief, anger, sadness, we're always trying to run away from them, and we're trying not to accept them all the time. because they are hard to deal with. They are difficult emotions because we don't know what to do with them. We don't know how to process them. But death is this big part of life, and it's the next frontier. I mean, each of us probably have our own beliefs about what will happen when we die. And that's completely personal, that can be cultural, that can be religious. You know, and we don't know what's going to happen. There's no surety there. You know, there's no one that's sort of come back and gone, yep, hey, you go to this super awesome place where there's, I don't know, puppies and rainbows and unicorns, or, you know, whatever it is that you believe, you know. There's no way to know. But if we actually look around us, there is death in everything. There is letting go, there is change, like with the seasons. You know, there's endings all of the time. There's endings of projects, there's endings of relationships, there's, you know, there are big endings when people die, when our animals die, when, you know, those things that are bigger and harder and in our face that we need to grieve. But I think that each and every day there's little deaths and there's little grievings of things that we are moving through and that we're letting go of. But it's very taboo to talk about it. And so what I wanted to do today, Paty, I don't know if you want to add anything there before we kind of just talk about death and open up that and that taboo.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly share, I recently lost my dog, Ruby, and I grew up not knowing, not having an animal, not having a pet. I grew up with the idea that they're dangerous, they're dirty, they're guard dogs, and that's it. So when Ruby came into our life, this was my mindset. And it was my mindset during most of her life, I'm going to be honest, until the last few months that I've been here in isolation, let's say, and because of the quarantena, because of the pandemic. I had a beautiful experience of connecting to Ruby. I would work outside in the patio and she would be my company. And she was this silent presence. She was an old girl, you know, 13 years old, and she would just be there and just look up at me every now and then, kind of saying, "You okay?" "I'm okay, okay." And just like go lie down and nap. And I never realized it till the last moment when it was time for her to go. And it was amazing. It was peaceful, but the love that I felt from her and that I was able to finally connect to her just changed my life. And just the moment of death was peaceful, it was sweet, and it was heartbreaking all at once. When I lost my mom, it was just that was just an overwhelming feeling of loss. The loss of Ruby, not that it's the same thing, but in a way it was. It's the loss of something that a presence in your life that's no longer there in this realm, but I still feel her in some ways. I still can connect to her as well as my mom. When when I need to, I feel the need to connect. I have the ability now to do it. Not that I'm psychic or anything like that. No, it's just a feeling in your heart where after the grief goes, the love stays there, and it's a beautiful way to connect, tapping into that love. It takes time, but it's doable. It's kind of learning how to live with the loss and with the grief, but tapping more into the love that was there, that was shared. I just wanted to add that.
Yeah, thank you, Paty. Thank you for sharing. And I mean, grief as well, it's not this linear process, like, in 6 weeks you're gonna cry and then it's over. That's not really how it works. And I think, again, it comes in cycles as well, and sometimes that cycle just gets a little bit smaller. The lows are not as low and the highs are not as high, but it's still there. It's still there. So, and I was listening to a TED Talk the other day about, death and dying. And they said as well that, 1 in 20 kids will lose a parent before they're 18. And there's this really beautiful kind of support group in some place in the US, I can't remember now, where, they bring these kids together and they talk about death very kind of specifically. So, when you think about, for example, when you're talking about like sex and your body parts, and so with kids you say things like your hoo-ha and your pee-pee and your whatever, and that often actually takes away the significance of it, and it's like, oh, we can't like really talk about it, and we make up these funny names for it. It's sometimes the same with death, in that we say, oh, they passed away, they're no longer with us, they're this. But what they do in this group is they say, my mom had a heart attack, her heart stopped and she died. My pet got an infection and his heart stopped and he died. And it actually kind of brings a little bit of power back to it, because you're talking about it frankly, and you're not cloaking it in euphemisms, you're not cloaking it in all these things, and it can bring a deeper level of acceptance, because you're being straight and you're being honest about it. And this is very hard, and each of you, if you need to cry today, this is fine. This is a safe space. This is about bringing things that, maybe we don't talk about into the light and talking about them. But what I wanted to maybe think about today is, just for yourself, what would you like to happen when you die? What do you want to happen to your body? Have you thought about that? What do you want to leave behind when you become an ancestor? Has anybody thought about what they want to happen to their body? There's cremation, there's burial, there's all sorts of things these days. Kate, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of like the only thing I've thought about it. I haven't thought about like what I need to happen after. I kind of just know, like, as everybody I'm sure wishes, I can't think of another wish, but I'm like, I'd like to go peacefully in my sleep, like a very normal wish. But I have thought about the after, only like the physical after, like the logistics, just in the sense that I want to make sure it's really eco-friendly. Like I actually have told my family explicitly, like, whatever at that point is the most eco-friendly way to do it, that's how I would like to do it. I'd love to come back as a tree. That's a new thing. But any kind of like environmentally friendly way. And that's kind of the only reason I've thought about it, just because I think I read something years ago that was talking about how bad, our funeral practices, even though they're important, but how bad they are for the earth itself, with so many people dying. So I just remember that like really left a mark on me, and that's why I've thought of it to a weird extent, probably at my age, but I've definitely.
Thank you, Kate. Yeah, definitely. I love that. And a funeral is a ritual. It's a ritual for the people around you to be able to let go. And it's a beautiful ritual as well. And each culture has its differences, and whether you're wailing or you have to be silent, or all these different things, depends on those kinds of things. I love the eco-friendly thing. Yeah, I want to do the tree thing. I want to be the tree. Julia, I think you had your hand up, did you?
Yeah. I don't know. I read in somewhere they were studying about transforming the ashes in jewelry. And I just imagine that would be super cool. Imagine if you can leave to your grandson like some piece of you and as a jewelry. It's kind of like symbolic, and they can carry you around or put you in a place. It's kind of, I think it's quite cool, like to have your family with you in not ashes but a small thing, right? It's beautiful. And the tree, I thought about the tree too. I just don't want to be buried, because I don't think it makes sense for me. And as you said, like, it's not eco-friendly, and all the rituals never made sense for me that I had when I was a kid. It always bothers me, the fact that you need to stay with a dead body on your side. I thought since I was a kid, I used to not get close to the body and just stay away and talk to the person since a small kid. And for me, the goodbye is more spiritual than the physical thing that I used to see, like people crying. I never understood why do you cry next to a body? You know, that the person is not there anymore. So I used to sit it far away, and my mom said, and they thought I was kind of like a crazy kid talking to the person that was dead already. The family always thought that it was super weird what I was doing, but for me, it always worked. It was my ritual.
Thank you, Julia. Does anyone else want to comment on what they're thinking? Yeah, Paige?
Yeah, for me, it's really important, and I hope that I'm too old for it, but you never know. For me, it's really important that as much organ donation as possible can come from me. My dad had an organ transplant when I was 12, and it saved his life at the time. And I think that was really important. So if I could do that for someone else, that would be great. And I mean, I've talked with my husband about what I want to have happen when I die, just in case. But like that, I would like to be cremated because, not just because I don't really want like a coffin, but also, it seems to be one of the cheapest alternatives, and I don't really care about that, but I do care about not causing my family any further distress in their moment of distress. And I know that it can be really, really hard. So yeah, that's why.
Thank you, Paige. Yeah, organ donation, that's definitely something to think about too, for sure. Bianca?
This is such a loaded conversation, and there's so much that can be said about it, and it's so much that you can ponder on for so many hours. When I was a kid, it's funny, Kate, you said like, maybe I think about this too much, you know, for my age. I had it all figured out when I was like 7 years old, but I don't think I am the same. I want the same things, but I said I wanted everyone to wear their favorite color at my funeral, not black. Celebration. And I said, like, I want to hear John Lennon's, I want there to be played John Lennon's Imagine, because that was so meaningful to me. I'm sure that I can find so many new songs. In fact, one song that really stands out to me is the Pachamama song that actually Vanessa shared in an ancestor ritual, and it's actually talking about kind of coming home and stuff. And I think it's about death, you know, and so like being returned to the earth, to Pachamama. But I agree with what you have all said about, you know, eco-friendly. I think, to me, like, previously we would bury people into the ground, and then their body would, you know, be food for the earth, nutrients, and your life would transfer to the life of the earth and to the life of a tree. It was so natural, the process. But now we put people in boxes, and those boxes are ever more ornate, and they never even see the ground. And so I just think that is just silly part. I mean, I don't hope I'm not, you know, being irreverent, but I just think that it doesn't make sense to me, that we put people in boxes, and then we have to, you know, take up space to do that. But I do think it's important that, you know, like when I'm gone, that my energy be somewhere anchored in a way, if not in a spot in the ground, but maybe in a tree or in a location. And I'd love to sit and plan that out, but I think that's really important, that people have a place to come to think of me, and that if there is an afterlife, that I can be anchored to it, to hear the person speak to me, you know. That's what I think.
Lovely. Thank you, Bianca. Thanks for sharing. Patty, did you have
Yeah,
something?
yeah. I heard, this must have been a few years ago. I read a funny little article and endearing at the same time, where the grandfather requested that his ashes be put into a frisbee. So he was literally a frisbee because he wanted his grandchildren to keep playing with him and including him in life. So I had this vision of this being a frisbee, having my grandkids someday play around me, but then I go, oh my gosh, what if they lost me? What if some random dog grabbed it and just took off and they're like chasing grandma all the way? So then that stopped that thought. And then I had also, like Julia, read about the jewelry, and I thought that was very beautiful, like being put into jewelry. But my initial thought has always been that to be cremated and having my ashes spread in the sea. That way, wherever, because I was brought up in North America and now I'm in South America, I just feel like yeah, a boomerang, same as Bianca. That's better. Maybe that's better. Maybe a boomerang would be better. Come back at you. But I always thought that maybe if I was in the sea, wherever my family would be, as long as they were near the sea, that they could always like connect to me. So I just always thought that cremate me and then put me in the sea. I actually have started a playlist because I love music so much. I go, okay, I'm gonna have my Spotify playlist for when I pass. You know, I want you guys to play this because when my uncle died a few years ago, he loved tangos. Like his music was tangos and boleros. So when he passed away, I made sure he had his playlist, like, and people were like, oh, he loved this song, he loved that song, because that's how I connect is with music. So I started a playlist where I'm putting all my favorite songs in there and having them make sure that they play this, that, you know, this is something that I want them to hear, whether it's messages, you know, loving messages or something that they can connect with me. So next time they're in a car and that song comes on, hey, mom loved this song. And I'm like, yeah, that's right. And also this all this talk about death being taboo, it's I just think it's time to change the perspective on it. It's life embracing. It's something where you have to think about and say, okay, yeah, someday I'm not going to be here, someday I'm going to pass away, so let's live life to its fullest now. Like, why stop and not talk about what what could happen, you know, and nothing's guaranteed. I mean, especially now this year with everything that's been going on, I think death has been more present than ever, where so many people have passed away. And so it's just something that it's time for a society maybe to start looking into not having it taboo and look into what you how you want to leave this earth, and remember that someday you will be an ancestor. What do you want to leave behind? Whether it's a journal, imagine being a young girl and finding great grandma's journal someday, or my great aunt's journal, and just reading it. Oh my gosh, in 2020 there was a pandemic, and look at what she did, and look at what they did, and can you believe people were buying toilet paper like crazy? What's up with that, you know? Or even now, I guess maybe it won't be a journal. Maybe it's your Facebook or your Instagram. And that's such a weird thought that someday, as an ancestor, we can look at their Instagram. Isn't that a funny thought? That they can look at to our pictures and what was she thinking there? Oh my gosh, look at this. What was that about? You know, just start living life as an ancestor. Just think about whether it's your children, whether it's relatives, whether it's some random girl. How, can you believe how much Netflix you watched? Exactly, exactly. Did they not have anything else to do with all this Netflix watching? Exactly. It's life embracing. This talk about death should not be dark and gloomy. It's you bring humor into it. You bring your spirit into what we're the way we are living now. Think about it. Just stop and think. There's the I was reading that there's a death positive movement starting somewhere in North America. It was where they're having cafes, and the discussion is death cafes, where it's like, what do you want to, you know, what do you want your death to look like or your funeral to be like? And it's not something where people are trying to sell you something, or buy this or buy this plot, or no, no, no. It's about what you want to leave behind, what kind of memories, what's your picture. I mean, how many times when somebody passes away and they choose this awful picture, the person on the other side is probably thinking, oh my God, why did you choose that picture? I look awful here. No, choose your picture now. This is what I want. You know, if there's a showing, I have my dear cousin and her mom, which I don't know if you guys watched the 18 little conversation we had. My Aunt Clarita and her daughter Antonia um, have decided to donate their bodies to science. How cool is that? They're not going to have a funeral. They're donating, and they want to make it, put yourself in service even after you're gone, and they're donating their body to science. I thought that was really cool. So if you ever want to pay, visit to me after I'm gone, you go to, I don't know where the medical building is, but, lay a flower or a candle there, because that's where I'm going to be. And I'm like, that's so cool. It sounded so cold at the moment, but she's like, no, I mean, what are we going to do in the ground? You're just rotting away. Why not give myself to science, see if they can, I don't know, cure some new disease with my body, or give it a new doctor to be able to learn how to do something like that. Is amazing. So that's something to think about.
And I think visiting the person after they're dead sometimes is just, for example, I have a friend of my mom that was like an aunt for me. She died in Brazil. She was cremated. I was not there. But I have a painting that she gave to us. And every time I want to visit her and see her and contact her, I just talk to the painting. So I think it's the small things that the other people leave, and then you can leave for your people, that they will be able to reach you.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Thank you guys. And yeah, Bianca, in Mexico, they have the Day of the Dead, right? Which is just a massive celebration and connecting to your ancestors and embracing death as a part of life, and having your altar to your ancestors, which is absolutely beautiful. We're not forgetting about them. We're not, shunning death. We're not putting it over here. It's like, no, we have this whole day of a celebration of death and our ancestors and the people that came before us. So there can be, this really beautiful connection with the people that have died before, like Julia said, maybe it's just a painting that hangs in your house, or it's some part of them that you can, every time you walk past or you're having a hard day, it's like, no, you know what, I'm going to connect to my grandmother today because I know she was the wise crone, or, and I want to really connect with her, and just, connecting with her energy. I don't think that ever really leaves us, their energy. So yeah, beautiful. Any other comments on death and dying? Kate? Yeah.
Yes.
Can I say
Paty,
something?
Kate first, then Bianca.
Sorry. Yeah, Paty, what you were saying made me think of, and this is always what kind of it all comes down to for me. I feel like it's a big theme in my life, because I really struggle. I think my biggest struggle is accepting life and death as they are without trying to want to change them or just cheat the system somehow. Not that I don't want to die, just accepting all of it as it is. But just that death is what actually gives meaning to life, and without death there is no meaning in life. And you see it in a ton of religions, especially in the Eastern ones, where it's actually better to be in the human realm rather than in the realm of the gods and the undying and stuff like that, and the Greek mythology as well. But and you see it as well in light and darkness. There is no light without dark. There is no life without death. So it always strikes me, that particular notion. And I was going to recommend, I don't know if anybody here has already watched it, but the best interpretation for in modern TV I've seen is actually The Good Place. And I would highly recommend it. If you haven't seen it yet, it is great. And it does it really well, I thought, the way that they explain that concept, that, having an end gives everything on the journey meaning, which is, devastating to us because we're so attached to, ourselves and our journey and our experiences and events in our lives. We're attached to life because why wouldn't we be? It's self-preservation. But if we never had an end to life and it went on forever, it wouldn't have any meaning at all. Nothing that happened would be as significant. So Paty, what you were saying really like reminded me of that, and I thought I would share since we're discussing life and death and what they mean to us.
Exactly, Kate. Yeah, I mean, if we weren't going to die, we wouldn't value this life as much. But as they say, none of us are getting out of here alive, so make the most of it. Bianca, you had something else to say.
Yes, sorry for the interruption before.
No, you're fine.
Yes, you brought up Mexico and the Dia de los Muertos, and I thought, or Dia de la Muerte. I thought about, was it Coco? I think that would be, if I were going to choose an afterlife, I think that is, exactly the way I want it, to be able to descendants and to be, relevant because they remember me and honor me each year. And if there was a way to combine that with the good place where like it's time to move on, then like my life force goes into the rest of life, and that would be beautiful. That's just something I wanted to add. But I realized that I've been neglecting to mention that I've moved into a new apartment here, and the former tenant was actually the aunt of my current landlord, and so I really feel her energy here, very much so, and I feel that she definitely embodies the crone. Her name was Ursula, but they called her Ushi, and actually she was friends with the tenant upstairs, the and they took me to her grave last month, where we were able to just like say a little something. They cleaned her grave, and I just kind of like offered a thank you for letting us like stay in her place, and I said, you're welcome anytime. But so it's actually something I want to do, is light a candle for her today, because I think, as the veil is thinner, this is definitely a place that may be, some sort of an anchor for her. So let us honor her and thank her. So, yes.
That's really beautiful. And I think that also, if there's some of us that maybe we won't have children, there are other ways that, we still continue on that may not be in kind of physical form as our descendants, but in different ways where we're still there, like in the apartment that people remember, or in your community in different ways. So I think that's really lovely. Thank you, Bianca, for that. And yeah, I mean, if you can do a Halloween ritual tonight, I don't know if anyone's got one that they're gonna do to honor their ancestors and connect with that.
Yes, I'm actually doing one where it's simple, and it's not like, ooh, it's not like that kind of Halloween, but it's basically you're connecting with your ancestors. Whatever meal you're doing tonight, actually make a plate for that special ancestor that you felt a connection with, or you feel a connection with, and make them that plate, honor them. And if you can find a tree, a bush, a plant, leave that offering there. And while you're there, close your eyes, light a candle, connect with them, thank them for the love that you shared with them. Ask them for their guidance, their wisdom in this life path that you've chosen, and see what happens, see what thoughts come up. If you want to journal it afterward, that would be beautiful. But try and connect. The veil is thinner now, today on Halloween. And if you want to connect with the loved one that's passed away, you don't have to go out in nature, but it would be lovely if you could. Under a tree, or in the bush, or with a plant if you're in a balcony, something where you can connect with Mother Earth and your loved one and your ancestor. Make that plate for them, connect with them, light a candle, and that would be the ritual that I'm doing tonight, along with the full moon ritual, where I take all my crystals, I leave them in the night, the moonbeams of the full moon, have them charged and cleansed, and I also make moon water, which is basically in a glass bottle, have moon water, and that way that's just for me, for my connections with my daily rituals that I do every now and then.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, today is a big day, you know. It's not just Halloween, it's the full moon as well. So we invite you to think about a ritual that maybe you want to make for yourself today. So to finish kind of this cycles workshop, I wanted to do a bit of a longer meditation connecting to kind of a little bit each of the cycles and then kind of wrapping it up and letting go. So that will be a slightly longer one. So I want to give you just 5 minutes if you want to go to the bathroom, get a drink, whatever you want to do, and then come back and get into a space where you can meditate for a good sort of 15, 20 minutes. Okay, guys. Just wait for Paige and for Kate. Okay, wonderful. We're all back. Do you have close to you your list that you made earlier? Yeah, so just keep that close to you. You don't have to be on camera if you don't want to. If you want to turn that off, that's perfectly fine. We're just going to do a meditation for about 15 minutes. Just a little bit going through the different cycles, connecting to those, and then a bit of release and setting new intentions. Okay? So just come to a comfortable position, however feels good for you. Just making sure that your back is straight. And then when you're ready, closing your eyes and taking a few deep breaths in and out. Grounding into this moment, allowing any sounds to surround you, any smells, allowing them to pass by, allowing emotions and thoughts to arise, accepting them, allowing them to move through. Just connecting into your body for a moment. And if there's any tension there that you'd like to release right now, just placing your attention there and allowing it to release with your breath. Allowing yourself to relax into this moment. And then becoming aware of your breath and placing your attention on the place that you feel it most. And maybe that's in your abdomen, with your belly rising and falling. Maybe it's in your chest as your lungs move in and out. Maybe it's at your nose where the air enters and exits. Just placing your attention there for a moment and connecting to this cycle of breath. Inhaling and exhaling. Also noticing the point between the inhale and the exhale and the inhale. These are part of the cycle too. There's a part where you're fully full. There's a part where you're completely empty. Allowing those to allowing yourself to connect to those parts of the breath as well. And now becoming aware of your heartbeat, the unique rhythm that beats in your chest. Connecting into your body and that rhythm of yours. So it's fast, perhaps it's slow. It's noticing and accepting it there. And then I want you to imagine that through the bottom of your feet grow roots that connect you deep down into Mother Earth. connecting you down to her heartbeat, the heartbeat of this land that you're on. And imagining Mother Earth in front of you, bringing to mind the season that you're in, how she looks right now. What's the quality of the air like? What do the trees look like? What fruits and vegetables are available now? And then in your mind's eye, imagining each of the seasons. Spring, winter, autumn, summer. And noticing how effortlessly Mother Earth changes and flows between them. How those trees change, how the air changes over a whole year. And then bringing yourself back to your heartbeat and your breath. And imagine that in front of you is yourself. Imagine yourself as the maiden. See yourself as the innocence, as the starting of new projects. Feel her energy bubble up through you. What is she doing? How does she move? And then imagine her flowing into the mother energy, the caretaker, the nurturer, birthing and creation. How do you look as the mother? How does the mother feel and move? Just allowing any images, any colors, any sounds to come through and accepting whatever is there. What is it that you're mothering right now in your life? And imagine the mother morphing and flowing into the crone, to that matriarch full of wisdom, full of knowledge, someone who's seen it all and has amazing experience. How do you look as her? How do you feel as her? What wisdom do you have to share right now? And allowing the crone to float away. And then bring to mind something in your life that is ending. It's a project, something that's happening in your personal life, but it's an energy that's ending for you. I want you to imagine it there in front of you, and I want you to encompass it with a sphere of light, golden, beautiful light. Imagine that between that sphere of light and you, there's a cord that attaches you to it. And I want you to imagine yourself cutting that cord, allowing yourself to release it, allowing that thing to end, releasing it back into the universe. And as you do this, thanking it for its presence in your life, thanking it for all that it gave you. And allow yourself a moment of grief for it passing. You should move into acceptance that it's now gone and that it needs to end as part of the cycle. Imagining it floating away out of sight. A little part of it still with you to remember as part of your experience, as part of your wisdom. I want you now to go back again to this last 6 months. And you have that list there with you of your disappointments and your achievements. Keeping your eyes closed for the moment, just bringing that to mind again. And I want you to see yourself as you are now with that experience of the last 6 months. And I want you to imagine letting go of that, allowing her energy to leave, to make room for the new you. And think about what it is that you want for the next month, the next 6 months. What is it that you want to embody? You've let go of the last 6 months. What are your intentions for the next 6 months? Just allowing images and thoughts and colors to come through. And then slowly, slowly, just when you're ready, I want you to open your eyes and take that piece of paper that you wrote things down on. And I want you to rip it up. And I want you to release it. Release the last 6 months. Release anything that you no longer need. Accepting the disappointments, accepting the achievements, giving them thanks and giving them gratitude, and allowing yourself to release. If you'd like to say out loud, I release these last 6 months and I open to something new. And then once you've done that, take a few minutes now to write down your intentions for the next 6 months. Using this time, Halloween, as a time for new intentions, for new beginnings. Imagine that we've ended a cycle and we're starting a new one. I'm just going to give you 1 more minute, but you can continue this afterwards. And so once you've finished that, and you can do that after the workshop is over if you like, I want you to take that piece of paper and I want you to actually plant it. Plant that seed, give it to nature, give it to Mother Earth, so that it may grow over these next 6 months. So that can be in a pot plant, that can be in your garden, whatever is available to you. And to give it out to the universe. I want you to just close your eyes now for a moment and just give 3 really deep breaths in and out. And thank yourself for your honesty today. Thank yourself for coming and sharing and connecting with the cycles. Becoming conscious and aware of these new things. And I thank each and every one of you for your presence today. Thank you.
On a little side note, I just wanted to add a little bit of something. Just a reminder that you can live your life without ritual. You can flip the pages on a calendar or watch the date change on your cell phone. Keep living on automatic pilot, and a year later wonder where did the time go? And wonder why your vision is still the same. Or you can connect with the cycles of nature, honor the spirit of the ancestor, discover the patterns in your life, and add positive energy to the world, because the world needs what you have to offer. Each one of you is special in their own way and has different qualities and skills that the world needs. So just a reminder to decide how you want to live the rest of this month, this year, this special year, which has been such an eye-opener. And just remember that we're living right now, but someday we're going to be an ancestor. What do you want to leave behind?
Thank you, Patty. Are there any questions or comments before we just wrap up and say goodbye on this lovely Saturday? Okay. We will leave you there. We thank you so much for your presence today, for your sharing. As always, we want to let you know that 10% of what you give us, we give to En Tu Camino, because that is one of the legacies that we want to leave, that we helped our community. We have so many things coming up. We have the online retreat, which I think some of you have already signed up for, which is going to be super duper amazing. If you're not signed up, hopefully you do so before early bird ends tomorrow, and check it out on our Instagram. So yeah, we invite you to connect more with the community, and we're here for that. So thank you so much for today, and I hope you connect with your cycles and that you bring more ritual into your life. So we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
Thank
Bye,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Thank
you
you
so
for sharing,
much.
everybody.
You too. Bye.
Was a good one. I like it.